Welcome to a new video on my home automation series, and today we are going to look at another Sonoff product, and that's the Sonoff TX, which is the brand new series of Sonoff smart wall switches, which is going to be fairly similar to the earlier models. So initially we had the Sonoff Touch, and then that was upgraded to Sonoff T1, and now we have the TX model. We will see later on that inside it looks fairly different from the previous models. The outside looks somewhat familiar, or somewhat similar to the previous one. Of course, the first and obvious difference is that it is black. So we have a black bezel or the frame, and we also have the tempered glass front, which is also going to black. Well, it's also black now. We have the Sonoff logo on the lower right corner. It is, as you can see, it's very reflective, so it's a nice tempered glass. And what I have here is a 3-gang European model, which is a first because if my memory serves correctly, European models were only 1 or 2 gangs now. I think there was only a US, maybe a US Australian model which was a 3-gang. So this is definitely a new product for the European market. And I just have to check what other models will be available in the TX series. So I'm just probably going to put it onto the screen as a text overlay. So as you can see, we get the same rectangular face, and the back is, according to the European, socket size, which is this usually around this size. And we have the terminals up here and also on the left. So we have the neutral connection here. You can see it says an N in, so neutral in. And we have 4 connections on the top. So we have the live in, and we have live 1 out, live 2 out, and live 3 out, which obviously corresponds to the 3 gangs that you get with this switch. If you have a 2-gang switch, then you don't have a connection here, and if you have a 1-gang switch, then you don't have these 2 connections. But you can easily spot this because the labels are obviously reflect the actual versions that you have. So the US version would probably have a different back package and probably a different size, but in terms of the connections and the functionality is going to be the same. We also have a new box. So we have this blue box. You get the usual, information there. So it looks like that. Now we are looking at 3 different series of Sonoff products. So we have the DIY products, which is like the basic and the mini. We have the wall switch series. So these are the TX series. We have the plugs, and then we have the light bulbs. And in the box we have a few other documents as well. So we have this Sonoff QC pass, we have an FCC warning leaflet, we also have this feedback sort of form and QR code which you probably can scan, and you get to their YouTube and Facebook page. There is also a quick installation guide which goes through the usual details. How you get this unit hooked up. So as you can see, you get 3 examples here, and these examples actually show you the 3 different versions, so the 1, the 2, and the 3-gang version. But that's just what I just explained. And on the back you get some instructions about pairing it. So if you power it for the first time, it automatically goes to pairing mode. And if you want to pair it again, let's say to a different Wi-Fi access point, then you touch the middle sensor for more than 5 minutes and it goes into pairing mode. And as opposed to some of the other Sonoff products, there is a separate leaflet, which is the user manual. It goes into a little bit more detail as opposed to the quick installation guide, and it comes in 6 languages. So English, Spanish, Italian, German, French, Russian. Probably the only thing that I want to highlight here is that in you see the T3EU 3C. So it looks like that there are models which are 1C, 2C, and 3C, which are either 2 amps, 4 amps, and 3 amps. So the relays are different in each of the models. So just make sure that you check. I mean, you know, we are switching lights, so even like, you know, 2 amps is like 500 watts. Nowadays, since we are using LEDs, I don't think it's really going to be a, you know, a limiting factor, but yeah, just be aware. So it says here as well, 3 amps. So that's it. That's all that you got in the box. Oh, you get 2 screws as well. And just like with the Touch and the T1 model, if you have a screwdriver, then you can carefully, oops, probably more carefully than that, separate the top part from the bottom part. So that's the switch, basically the face, the tempered glass, and now you can see the, oh, I can see, but the camera can't see. Probably you can see the 3, what is it, touch symbols, or the, you know, the 3 separate parts in the screen where you can touch. And here in the PCB you can see the 3 touch sensitive areas, and actually this comes off. So it's a new construction. I don't think the T1 looked like this, or maybe the T1 didn't come apart like this one, but this contains all the low-level logic. Basically you see the ESP here, you see the PCB trace antenna, which appears to be quite a big one, so maybe that's going to help with the reception. I don't know, I haven't tested the range. And yeah, you have a couple of other bits and pieces here. And I'm assuming the PCB back in the case is just probably power management, power regulation, and obviously the relays which switch the 3 terminals. And we see some really beefy contacts down there. So, and it says T1 EU3C Power 0, version 01. So that's probably a brand new power management board for this TC series. And of course, you need to take this apart, because that's how you can access the screws to mount the unit on the wall, or, you know, against your wall socket. And once you have done that, you align the top PCB. There are screws and everything, so it's not that difficult. And you just put the cover back and align the notch with the cutout here. And the notch is on the bottom side, so normally you wouldn't see this. So that's the TX. Let me hook it up to mains. In the meanwhile, I've connected to the mains, so I only use these 2 terminals. Again, you have to excuse me for the crudity of this setup, but I just don't have enough space on my test board anymore especially to connect 3 more bulbs to this one. But I think, you know, we have seen this type of devices before, so we can pretty much use our imagination to you know, basically fill out the gaps and then, you know how it works. If you look at it now, it's powered on, and I'm trying to bring it closer to the camera. So the 3 sensor areas are illuminated just a slightly bit. So even if I move away, well, no, you can still see it, but I mean, even for me, it is hard to see with the naked eye that it is blue. So I'm just assuming that in total darkness, that's going to, you know, glow very nicely, and it will be easy to find the switch in the dark. And you also have a status LED on the top. And you might have noticed in the previous video where I've taken the top off that there was also a buzzer inside. So when I pressed the middle button to go into pairing mode, it actually beeped quite loudly, but fortunately it doesn't beep when yeah, you are switching the lights. So that's definitely a bonus point. And in the meantime, I've completed the pairing of this device to my EV-Link application. And as you can see, it appears in my list of devices. So it shows 3 different channels, and I can just control them. And of course, because you can't see any light connected to it, I'm just going to, shut up so you can hear the relay clicking. So that's the only proof I can give you at the moment that it is actually working. And if I bring it close to the camera, then you can see that the channel that is on, it's illuminated a slightly bit brighter than the other channel. So it is easy to see the status of these. And of course, the feedback works both ways, as we would normally expect. If I go into details, we get the usual layout. So I have the 3 switch faces in here. I also have a button to turn all 3 of them on or all 3 of them off. If we go into the device details, then we see that I have upgraded to the latest version, which is 3.1.0 at the moment. We have the LAN option, which I'm going to talk about later. You have the power on state, which you can control for each channel individually. That's nice. And you have the indicator that you can disable if you want to. You have the inching option, which you can do for all 3 channels separately. That's also nice, because this goes up to a few minutes. Well, you can also use it as a as an auto off feature. Ooh, that's an interesting. There is an interlock functionality as well. So this is not something that I have seen for earlier version, but maybe I just need to go back to. So that's definitely a new functionality in the eVLink application. So you can enable the interlocking, and as you can see, you can just have only one of the, you can have one channel to automatically turn off the other channel. Previously, if you wanted to achieve something like this, you would probably need to do some scenes, which, you know, trigger when one channel is set, so you turn off the other channels. The first thing that comes to my mind for this application is probably blind controllers, where obviously you either want to press up or down. So, you know, when you press up, you want to make sure your down is switches off, and vice versa. So I think this interlocking functionality is going to be very useful for that sort of application. And that's pretty much it. Otherwise, we have the usual manufacturer details. On the lower part of the screen, we get the usual suspects. So you can share this device to other users. You can create schedules. And of course, now you can create the schedule per channel. That's exactly how it worked for previous multi-gang devices as well. And you also have the timer functionality. You don't get the loop timer, but we do have some other ways to, you know, achieve auto functionality than using the loop timer. And there is one more feature in the settings which I've glanced over, but you most probably want to use it. If you go back to the settings, normally you have the name and then you click, you can change the name. But of course, for this particular device, besides having you need to click on that small arrow. So besides having a name, you also have 3 channels. You might want to name those channels separately. So I'm just going to do that now. Well, I wasn't really original, so I just renamed CH1 to TX channel 1. But I just did that so I can just say something to Google that it will most probably understand. Hey Google, turn on TX channel 1.
Sure, turning TX outlet 1 on.
But actually we can quickly figure that out if I go into my Google Home app and if I scroll down, because it's going to be at the bottom. Yeah, so it's called TX outlet 1, TX outlet 2, TX outlet 3. So in the meantime, I enable the interlock functionality so I can show you how it works. You can't set anything in the interlocking, so it works across all gangs in the device. So as you can see at the moment, all 3 of them are turned off. Oh, and by the way, as you can see, some of the other functions are now disabled, so the timers. So you either have interlocking or you have some of the other features. So you can turn any channel on. So now, for example, channel 2 is on or outlet 2 is on. If I turn the 3rd one on, then outlet 2 turns off, and then if I do 1, then the other 2 turns off. So yeah, basic interlocking functionality. And it looks like that of course I haven't tested that, but it looks like that the switchover from one outlet to the other happens instantaneously. So I can only assume that it's not done by the cloud service, but this is a functionality that is programmed into the microcontroller, which is good, because that means that even if your network is gone and if you have set up interlocking, then it's just going to work. So it doesn't rely on messages going up and down in the cloud to basically instruct this device to turn the other channels off, which would have been the case if you would do this functionality via scenes. So here you go, that's the Sonoff TX, the new range of Sonoff wall switches, and the model that I reviewed is the 3-gang European version, and it says the exact model number is T3EU3C. If you're interested, go online. I will leave a couple of links in the video description, but since there are so many different variations and there's so many different Amazon links or stores across the world, I won't be able to leave all of you. So just, yeah, go to your favorite store where you usually buy these products and search for these new TX switches. I hope you find this video useful. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.